a lot, and we have to make a decision about it. And this is one of the things that the board also considered, is that we were doing, when I first came on at ADEO, GCI at the time, we had multiple things under our umbrella. We had a day program. We had a supportive living program for people with brain injuries. We had this home health agency. We had an outpatient clinic for people. Then we had a warm water pool that was for that. And then there was, it was also open to the public. And so there were many things. Each of them was tiny. Each of them was tiny in scale. And so, but as you know, working at the state, the regulatory requirements around each of those things do not change because you're tiny and because your capacity is small. And so over time, it became really clear that we need to kind of figure out what is our core mission, right? Where do we feel that we as an agency are going to have the best impact, make the most difference in this community? Now, that's not to say that all the other needs in this community are not important or not worthy of attention. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is we have to be real about our capacity. And we know that we're really good at the brain injury piece. We also know that, I mean, you talked about the funding for brain. I wish DD services was funded in the same way. I wish other services were funded in the same way. It's part of the reason why there's a dearth of services. But what we do at Stevens Farm for the people that we support is not just make sure they're healthy and safe. We are connecting, we do all of the care coordination around their physical, behavioral, emotional health needs. We do a lot of stuff bridging with the community. We're a bridging organization with the community, so connecting people, and now that they can actually potentially get paid jobs, which we've taken on that responsibility. And so there's 10,000 details that go into supporting any one person, and we do it all. And so it's very intensive work. And so we had, the board really kind of considered, where do we go? Where do we want our staff, our team, to put their energy and their resources? And this is what they chose.
The board chose how to affect the lives of others.
I promised you were next in the row, so. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm Andrea Welch, a long time Greeley resident, but I'm ignorant about all this. I hate to admit that, but my common sense, I have an inquiry, Deb. In regard to those 11 bills that are in the legislature, and then you mentioned about building, would it be crazy to have a law in place that a certain percentage of units in any new build would be to meet these needs?
Great idea.
At least 20%, I would say.
That is actually one of the bills. There actually is a law now that says a certain number has to be. We believe that the wheelchair number is too low. There's the law as it's written right now is incredibly confusing, and we believe really is biased towards owners and developers and against people with disabilities. So we're trying to change that to make it better. And we really believe in adaptable housing, which is, but housing that can be made accessible. So when we talk about home modifications, generally those funds are not available to renters because our laws are very biased against renters. So the funders of that understandably say, well, we don't want to put a bunch of money into rehabbing a rental unit, because what if that place decides, oh, we're going to do something else and kicks them out, and the state has put all this money in it. So one solution that was discussed recently is maybe making the apartment complexes responsible for doing some of those modifications. And there's also something in the law that says if you do a modification, one, it's at your expense, which if you're on a fixed income isn't going to work. And two, that when you move or die, you have to put it back. And so sometimes we have people like their loved one dies and the landlord's demanding that the family undo the accessibility. We want to get that out of the law because more accessibility is always good.
Yes.
But one of the bills that it's not yet been introduced is going to be to increase the stock of accessible housing. So thank you.
Anyone who's interested in advocating on the fence, make sure that you either come see me there's a yellow meter tag that's making it really loud. Sign up on that list. Yes, thank you. And I promise we will be in touch.
You just anticipated what I was going to end with. We are certainly past time, but if the speakers have availability, I'd like to continue with questions. But if someone has to leave because they have a previous commitment, I don't want you to feel awkward leaving. So we'll just take a second for people if they need to leave to leave, and if the speakers are available to continue to answer your questions, we're happy to have you stay. But before you leave, as was said, if you're interested in ongoing advocacy, please sign the yellow sheet. And there's also a sheet signing in for attendance at the town hall to make sure we have ways to reach out to you in the future. We're hoping to have more in-person town halls. I see there's one of our speakers has her hand raised. Can you stay or do you need to move?
I need to go, but can I just make one comment? First of all, thank you for everybody here and everybody online. This has been, I gotta get in the camera. Is this good? Okay. This has been a lively discussion and it needed to be had. And I just wanted to express some sentiment, and this is from my heart. I know the issue with the Hope Apartments and the people that are housed there having to leave is causing great heartburn. I understand your grief, and I feel it too. It causes me heartburn. And if that is the crux of the, I guess, the disagreement, if there's any, that little elephants in the room, I get it. And we want to do everything we can to make the transition to appropriate housing for the people living there a good one. Now, I've just been challenged by our state treasurer to put our, I guess, our plans in writing to have transparency. And I get that. You deserve that. And we are, you know, this issue with the building has come up. We've been discussing. Sarita's not going to talk publicly, that isn't, and nor would any executive director worth their salt talking outside of the board of directors and the decisions made there, with all the information they have and the decisions they made there. So this kind of has been, as we're still getting information in, the only thing that's solid is that we need to work on that building and make it safe. We need to bring it to code. And we can't do that with people in the building. So we are so willing to make this transition a good one, find a great place for the people that live here. And I accept your challenge with respect, Treasurer. And we'll be transparent, as this has been such a moving target. Different things coming up, different things coming up. And we don't want to be in a position where we say one thing one day and then we're retracting because we learn more information. We want to give good, solid information as we have it. So please, look at the synergy that has happened in this room. Look at the people you have in this room. We have representatives from the state. We have representatives from the city. We have local politicians. We have other community members and nonprofits. My hope, as I leave this meeting today, is that we get that synergy together and we start making real change for people in this community. Whether that's building more, that's going to take some time. Whether that's building more accessible apartments for people with disabilities, or finding a way to work with landlords to support their affordability if they take them in there, or just getting landlords to open their doors. Lots of things can happen. But it's only going to happen within the synergy of this room, and we bring others into the community. Let's work together. We're committed. I'm committed. I will get you that written plan that you were asking for, and let's make a true difference. Let's not just let this be a problem right now. And the last thing I want to say is I knew Hope Cassidy too. I talked about the room at the end that I opened. She was on my board. She was one of the first members on my board. And when she knew I was working on this project, she reached out to me. We had breakfast at Egg and I. And then we had breakfast at Egg and I, like twice a week, for years after that. She was my mentor. She is never going to lose the fact that she is the founder of this great agency. My wife is best friends with her kids. It is very much going to be a legacy for Hope. And we hope to continue that and make it something better. I think one thing Hope wanted, because she knew how hard it was. Anybody in nonprofit knows how hard it is to get funding for your building. And then you're fighting for funding from other good nonprofits. She knew that battle. We all did, and it continues. So I think she would smile upon us if we came together, overcame those battles, brought some money into this community to really make a difference for our neighbors who are living with disabilities. I'm gonna leave you with that. Sarita and I, I'm sorry you asked for that, but Sarita and I have to go to another meeting. But please, let's work together.
Thank you. Before we dispense, Doug also is a speaker, had a comment to make. I want to give him the opportunity.
Yeah, actually, a couple real quick questions for Dr. Reddy. Can you clarify a rumor that there was a 30-year stipulation about the use of the Hope Apartments?
There was a what?
The use of the Hope Apartments in terms of its mission to serve the disabled but not brain injured.
What kind of, I'm sorry, Doug, I'm not.
Something written back in the 90s that stipulated that the use of the Hope Apartments could not be changed.
Well, no, it's not that it can't be changed. When you get federal money in, there are certain covenants that go into place, and if you have to, those covenants don't expire apparently, which this is also a problem with federal money, because then you tie people into this, tie organizations and providers into this thing, and so the only requirement is that we give the money back if we were to violate those covenants.
Okay. Second question. Will there be compensation to tenants for all moving costs, whatever they turn out to be, if they cannot get help from outside organizations or volunteers or friends or family?